Hey YouTube, just want to do a quick video in response to the announcement of the new companion, and they've also released like a little 2-minute clip. I'm guessing it's from one of the upcoming episodes in the new season, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on it. And if any of you have followed my channel for any length of time, you probably already know where this is going. Um, I was not impressed. Um, it's it's odd because that 2-minute clip pretty much encompasses everything that is wrong with the new series of Doctor Who right now, and it's astonishing to me that even in spite of like even casual viewers, even people who are far more forgiving of new Doctor Who than I am, even with them starting to have doubts or starting to speak out against Moffat's format, his type of writing, he still continues to do it. Like I don't know if it's because he just can't think of anything else, or if it's maybe he's hit a wall and he just can't. This is the limit of his writing. But in any case, that 2-minute clip, it was literally the entire everything that encompasses New Doctor Who regurgitated in 2 minutes. Especially the last season, the last few seasons since Peter Capaldi took over. I mean, it was the most cliche sequence because it was meant to be like a tense action sequence, but I don't know if like the writers have just forgotten how this works, but there was nothing at stake for the audience to get invested in. I mean, you throw us into the middle of this action sequence with these two characters, one of which we don't even know, and you've placed them in this peril, and I have no reason to give a damn because I don't. First of all, I don't know the character yet, and second of all, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where they are, and what I don't know. It was the cheapest. It was the laziest, cheapest sequence they could have chosen for introducing this new companion to the audience because it's like they're insulting the intelligence of the audience because it gives the impression that they think that Daleks equals peril, and if you place these characters in any situation with Daleks chasing after them yelling exterminate, then it's automatically going to generate suspense, or it's automatically going to generate it's going to get the audience invested in the character, and that's just simply not the case. If you had done this 8 years ago, like when they introduced Martha or Donna, I would be on board. I would probably be more inclined to be invested in the companion. But the thing that Moffat has to understand is that this 2-minute trailer encompasses, it's the same thing that we've got for the last 10 years. And we're so sick of it. And so, I mean, as I sat through that 2-minute trailer, it was just, I was making mental notes of everything that stuck out to me, and most people don't even pay attention to this sort of stuff. But I was tempted to just make a quick list of every cliche that was in this trailer. I mean, it had the explosions, it had the cyan color filtering, it had the shaky cam in every shot, it had the rapid jump cutting, it had the slow motion sequence at the end. I mean, it was literally, it was just 2 minutes of cliches, and with the Daleks and the Doctor just kind of sprinkled on top, and this sequence is what's supposed to get us invested in this new companion. And I haven't even got to the companion itself yet. This is all just how it was presented, and I haven't even got to the companion yet. Now, the characters, the companion's name is apparently going to be Bill, and I'm sure there's going to be some wibbly wobbly, timey wimey play on words for why the character is named that. I'm sure Moffat will throw something in there because he's always, you know how it was like River Song, Amy Pond. He's always done that with character names, and if what I saw from this trailer is anything to expect from this companion, I have no doubt that that's going to be the case, because it's just yet again another, it's a carbon copy of Clara, of Missy, of Amy. I mean, it's Moffat just cannot write a female character other than what you see here. I mean, it's this young um, this young plucky female in her early 20s who always speaks in rapid phrases, and because that is what Moffat thinks is quirky. And first of all, there's no law that says the companion has to be quirky. I don't think that Leela was quirky, and I don't think that Ian and Barbara or Jamie were quirky, but they were nevertheless very good companions for the Doctor. So why is it that with New Doctor Who that you have this? It's like the role of the companion has been watered down to where they have to be this specific. They have to meet this specific. They have to meet this specific. Damn, why the fuck can't I say that word? Specific. I'm saying it like this girl I used to date in high school. They have to meet this specific set of criteria in order to be the companion. They have to be from present day Earth. They have to be female. They have to be in their early 20s or mid 20s, and they all have to act this flavor of quirky that Moffat writes, where they're jittery and everyone speaks fast and you can't understand what they're saying, and there's Moffat is just I don't know if there's like is there some sort of label that you put on the kind of writing that he does, but if you compare Moffat's dialogue to what you got in the original series, or hell, I'll even say in the Russell T Davies era, um, not every fucking line of dialogue has to be this quirky play on words. Where, I mean, that's what you got for these 2 minutes. And that's just about, I mean, it's almost like 80% of a story written by Moffat. Every word spoken by every character has to be this word salad, this clever play on words. It can't be just a fucking conversation like, the Ark in Space or the Sontaran Experiment or, the Evil of the Daleks or the Faceless Ones or, any very good Doctor Who story where you just have. I've read about this before, where the original Doctor Who was more of what they call, it was like, what do they call it? It's like classical theater or something, where the characters were, they weren't trying to be these, they weren't overacting or anything. They were, I mean, it was more believable because the dialogue was what you would actually expect from a group of characters in a room having a conversation. It wasn't like every fucking, I mean, first of all, I mean, it's one thing for the Doctor to have these clever quips to say because he's the Time Lord, he's the alien in this situation. But when you put the companion in the same shoes, when you have the companion who is supposed to be the mouthpiece for the audience saying all these clever quips too, suddenly there's no contrast between the Doctor and the companion. They're one and the same because they're both talking the same. And I mean, it's just, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. And I know a lot of you are going to comment on this video, and as you're watching this, you're probably thinking that I'm just being a negative Nancy, and I'm overreacting, and I probably shouldn't jump to conclusions based on a 2-minute trailer because there was all this fuss about it back when Star Wars: The Force Awakens, when the 2-minute trailers came out. Everybody instantly divided on it, and I was one of the people who said, that we shouldn't jump to conclusions until we see the film. And that being said, I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to watch Series 10, but I had expectations for Star Wars, for The Force Awakens. I mean, to me, the first 2 trailers that came out for The Force Awakens, they didn't look that promising to me, but the latter 2 that they had, they looked more promising to me. And actually, as I found out more information about the movie itself, I began to have at least some expectations for it, and I'm one of the ones who wasn't disappointed with the film, with The Force Awakens. But in the case of Doctor Who, you see a 2-minute trailer like this, and it's 2 minutes of exactly the same thing that we've been seeing for the last 30 to 40 years. So you cannot sit there and expect me not to be just a little hesitant to watch it. Okay, I mean, I have zero expectations for it because I've lost all optimism with it. I mean, I'm not even that optimistic about Chibnall writing, but everyone is jumping on my case saying that he's a great writer and he'll be a great showrunner. But we all said that about Stephen Moffat too. So, and look where we are now. And now everybody's got their foot up his ass, ready to get him out the door. So, I don't know. I mean, as soon as it was announced that Clara was leaving, and there was the hunt was on for the next companion, I immediately knew that this was going to happen. Okay, everybody knows how I am at predictions, and the things that I predict are not fucking hard to predict, because if you look at the last 4 to 6 years of history, you can see a pattern emerging. That's how that's why my predictions seem like they're so predictable. It's because they are. It's because I'm predicting what's going to happen next based on the last 6 years. And in this case, once again, I was right. I knew that the next companion was going to be a young female, probably from Earth, and she was going to be her acting, the way she's written is going to be exactly like Amy Pond, like River Song, like Mel, like Clara. It's yet again just another carbon copy of the Moffat female character, and uh, it's there's just no more variety in the character. I mean, if you look at the original series of Doctor Who, I'll even be generous. I'll even use an example where you have one female character following another. Let's use Sarah Jane and Leela, for example. Um, Sarah Jane was a female. She was a young female in her 20s, and she was a companion for the third Doctor, and then for the first couple of seasons, I think, for the fourth Doctor. And then the next companion to fall in her footsteps was Leela. And while Leela was also a young female, she was nothing like Sarah Jane in terms of her character. Sarah Jane was a journalist from present-day Earth, whereas Leela was a savage from some other planet. And so you had a very strong contrast between these two characters. They were both female, they were both young, attractive females, but they were completely different in terms of like their characters. And then yet again, when Romana comes on there after Leela, you yet again get that contrast, because while Leela was the savage from another planet, Romana was the time lady from Gallifrey. So there's just no variety like that anymore. I mean, ever since 2005, every fucking companion has been in this same mold. And now I've had some people comment on my videos and say, "How dare you compare Clara to Amy Pond? They're nothing alike." And I don't see how anybody could not see the similarities between these characters. I mean, it's I don't know. I'm so frustrated with Doctor Who, and this is one of the reasons why I really haven't been doing any more videos, like reviews or any other video commentary videos, is because I don't feel like there's anything else that I can say. I mean, everything that, and a few of my followers have agreed with me. There's nothing else that can be said. When I do these videos, I'm pointing out what I perceive to be the problems with the new Doctor Who. What the audiences, what particularly Doctor Who fans, are having a problem with in new Doctor Who, and and I'm not the only one that mentions this stuff. I mean, fans that are far more forgiving than I am have started speaking out. I mean, they'll openly speak about it on Doctor Who pages on Facebook, and without any regard for any repercussions. So it's not just me that's complaining about this anymore, and it's astonishing to me that you have nearly the entire Doctor Who fan base who are complaining about this, exactly this kind of Doctor Who is what they don't want anymore, and the only people who aren't complaining about it are the people that don't really give a damn anyway. Like, the what's left of the teeny bopping fangirls and stuff that hopped on board when David Tennant was here, and most of those have jumped ship now ever since Peter Capaldi came on there. But the ones that are hanging on for the romantic element, because we already know there's going to be a romance between this character. There's going to be a male character introduced somewhere in the season and it's going to be Bill's romantic interest. We already know that's going to happen because there's like these criteria that Doctor Who has to meet each season, and it's and you know I want to mention the Daleks, but I don't feel like there's anything else that can be said other than why. It's okay. I mean, it's the problem with the Daleks. Okay, is Moffat has completely lost touch with his audience, and the reason I say that is because the Daleks, from their conception back in the '60s, they were meant to be menacing foes for the Doctor. They were meant to be a worthy opponent for the Doctor to face off against occasionally, and um, it's like Moffat. He just doesn't understand screenwriting, or he doesn't understand, what redundancy does for the audience. And what I mean is, um, the Daleks are meant to be they're meant to be feared. They're meant to be a menace. They're meant to be something to be, or they're meant to be a force to be reckoned with when the Doctor is facing off against him. And if you look at stories like the original Dalek story, or Evil of the Daleks, or Genesis of the Daleks, or even Destiny of the Daleks, um, the Daleks, the Doctor is genuinely concerned about the situation. He's concerned about what beating the Daleks, and it's not easy for him to beat the Daleks. And and in these stories back then, he had to think his way out of these situations, and now he just waves his sonic screwdriver at it, and it makes the Dalek emotional, and then everybody lives happily ever after or something. But the main problem is that they're overused to such an extent that they've lost their potency. I mean, it's when you have the Doctor face off against the Daleks at least once every season, or sometimes twice a season, like during the Russell T Davies era. Um, when you have the Doctor face off against the Daleks that frequently, and he beats them every single time, then they kind of lose their punch. It's I mean, I see the Daleks, and pfft, it's not even anything worth. It's a turnoff. It's not. I don't know if the people who made this trailer, they did that because they thought it would intrigue audiences to watch it, but I don't think anyone was intrigued by this trailer. I think, if anything, everyone was encouraged to turn off the TV, because what you've showed them is that what you're planning for next season is going to be exactly what we've had the last 3 seasons, and no one wants to have to sit through that again. So I mean, so already we've only gotten 2 minutes of the next season, and already it's in a hole because of the Daleks. I mean, because that's just. I hear some people tell me that there's some contract with the BBC or something where they have to have a Dalek story in every season. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe somebody can research it and find out for sure whether or not it's true. I personally don't think it's true. And I do think that it's a marketing gimmick. I think that they know that Dalek's synonymous with Doctor Who, and Daleks sells Dalek merchandise, so it's like but I mean the whole um, like the focus on the actual making a great story has completely been lost. I mean, they don't even fucking care anymore whether or not it's a good story. All they care about is making audiences sit through 45 minutes of explosions and the Doctor and his companion running around, screaming at each other, talking really fast, and facing off against one of the villains that are just synonymous with Doctor Who, like Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, Silurians, that sort of thing. I mean, it's just there's no kind of I mean, look what happened with Flatline, and I'm still pissed off about that. You had this young writer come in there, Jamie Matheson, and he wrote 2 great stories in Series 8. He wrote Mummy on the Orient Express, and he wrote Flatline, which to me was the most original idea we've had for a Doctor Who story since the 80s. And what happened? What happened? Every fan thought those 2 episodes were the best of that season. The following season, Moffat fucking cut his head off. Okay, he got to help write one story. He got to help write one episode of the next season because Moffat couldn't stand somebody overshadowing him in terms of writing. So, and I don't even think he's writing for this season. So, I mean, I don't. It's like Moffat is on this ego trip, and maybe I've got all that wrong. Maybe I'm just reading between the lines there, and there's not really anything going on. But I just find it a little peculiar that a writer with his talent, Jamie Matheson, he showed himself to be a competent writer in Series 8 because he was able to deliver 2 solid episodes back to back in Series 8, and then the following season. What you normally would do in the case of Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, when Moffat contributed The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, those were the 2 most solid stories for Series 1. And what did Russell T Davies do? He recruited Moffat to write a full story the following season. So, but that's not what Moffat did though. Moffat he tied Jamie Matheson's hands. He said, "Look, you're going to help me write one episode this season instead of writing an entire episode yourself." So I'm not impressed by this 2-minute trailer, and I'm not at the least surprised that this companion turned out to be someone like this. And I seriously have zero expectations from this companion. I feel like, just like every other companion that Stephen Moffat has introduced, what the companion is supposed to be, it's supposed to be the mouthpiece for the audience. It's supposed to bridge the gap between the audience and this wild rabbit hole that the Doctor takes us down. They're supposed to be, the embodiment of the audience in the situation. But you can't have. I mean, that's what everybody tells me. Everybody tells me that the reason why the companion is always from present day Earth is because it's so the audience will have a character to relate with. But how can you relate to a character like Clara, who she was anything but an ordinary human being? She was an extraordinary human being because she was splintered throughout time, and then she made a big speech to the Time Lords, and that was all it took to grant the Doctor a new cycle of regenerations. And she's been with the Doctor through she's seen the Time War, she's seen all the Doctor's incarnations. So she is anything but an ordinary human being. She's an extraordinary human being. So, and now she's immortal. So you cannot write a companion. You can't write a character with the intent of having them be someone that the audience can relate to, and then write them like that. Write them to where they're more extraordinary than the Doctor, who is supposed to be the extraordinary character in this narrative. So, and again, I could be being presumptuous. It could be that Moffat is gonna knock us off our feet and completely surprise us, and this companion actually be someone who's she may not be from present day Earth, and she may not be someone who's extraordinary like that. She may be just an ordinary human being. But I would be shocked. I would be shocked beyond belief if she's not from present day Earth, or at least somewhere in that range, like maybe the 90s or the 2000s, somewhere along in there. Because originally I thought Amy Pond was going to be from the 90s, because the events of the 11th hour actually took place in like 1996 or something. But then what happens? At the very end of the episode, instead of recruiting 1996 Amy Pond, he goes to present day Earth and recruits that Amy Pond, just like every other fucking companion. So, yeah, I'm even reluctant to do a 20 predictions for Series 10, because it's getting ridiculous. I mean, it's just getting embarrassing because how predictable this is. And like I said, I've pretty much decided that I probably won't be doing any reviews anymore, and not, at least until Chibnall is there, because there's nothing else. It's just the same old thing with every review I do of a Stephen Moffat story, or a story that's under Stephen Moffat's under his reign. It's the same old thing. I mean, I'm complaining about the same things every time, and it's just I sound like a broken record. And and I know that a lot of you guys, you guys watch the new episodes and you pick out things that you don't like, and then you like to hear what my views on it, and you like to, I know you guys like to hear me agree with you on what we didn't like, but I mean, at this point, I mean, you and I have agreed on what we didn't like for years now, and I don't think that's going to change. I mean, it's at the end of Series 7, I was willing to give Moffat another shot. At the end of Series 8, I was like, okay, you get one more chance to knock me off my feet. And Series 9 came along, and it was the exact same thing. I mean, there was no change whatsoever. In fact, it got worse. So you cannot expect me to have any high expectations for Series 10 when Stephen Moffat is still the showrunner, and you have to take into account the last 4 to 5 years. You cannot just dismiss the last 4 to 5 years, especially when he's shown himself to be so damn repetitive. And anyway, that's my view on the companion. I kind of covered more than just a companion in this video, but it's been a while since I've done a Doctor Who video, so there you go. But final thoughts. I was not impressed by the 2-minute video. It was cheap, it was lazy, and it was just a lazy action sequence that had there was nothing at stake. There was nothing for me to invest in, and it was the most generic way you could introduce a companion whatsoever. The Doctor and the companion running from the Daleks. I mean, it was just the most generic, laziest way you can introduce that companion. I mean, you could have at least, again, I don't know what the stories are for this season, the upcoming season, but I mean, if there's one story where it's something like, if you were actually, I'm assuming that you're actually putting some thought into what you're writing, and that's probably my first mistake. But if you were writing something like The Talons of Wing Chiang, or something where there's a genuine mystery there to be solved, if you would have had a 2-minute clip of the Doctor and the companion deliberating on this mystery, exploring this mystery, that would have been more intriguing for the audience. That would have intrigued me to tune in when Series 10 comes along. What I saw tonight was just, it was nothing. I mean, it was Doctor Who 101. I mean, it was the most generic Doctor Who sequence ever. It was literally the entire, everything in New Who compressed into 2 minutes. And well, it was everything that everyone doesn't like about New Who compressed in 2 minutes. So there you have it. I'm sure most of you guys are not shocked because you knew I wasn't gonna have anything nice to say about this. But what do you expect? I mean, damn, I've been more than patient with Stephen Moffat. I've given you more than ample opportunity to make a difference, to change something, and every year you promise to change something, and then we get this. We get the same fucking thing we got last year. So, I'll watch it. I'll endure it. I'll sit through Series 10, but I have zero expectations for it. So that's my take on the new companion, and depending on what developments are throughout the year, I may or may not do another Doctor Who video. But again, I don't think there's really anything else that can be said other than we all agree that it's shit right now, and that the showrunner needs to be changed. There needs to be dramatic changes in terms of production, in terms of writing, just a complete change across the board. So, see you guys later. Be seeing you.